23 kilometers off the Polish coast, the horizon of the Baltic Sea is being redefined. This is the birthplace of a seismic shift in how an entire nation generates its power. It is a project of massive proportions, anchored by some of the largest turbines ever engineered, and recognized globally as the deal of the year. As these structures rise from the waves, they represent more than just infrastructure. They represent the dawn of a new energy era. In this video, we're going to dive deep into every corner of this project. We'll look at the history of why Poland is moving from coal to wind, the engineering behind these 200-meter-tall giants, the massive cost and complex financing involving 25 global banks, and what the future holds for the Baltic Sea as it becomes a hub for green energy. To understand why Baltic Power matters, you have to understand Poland's energy history. For decades, the country has been one of the most coal-dependent nations in Europe, relying on fossil fuels for the vast majority of its electricity. However, as part of a strategy to reach carbon neutrality and modernize the economy, a major shift began. The Polish Offshore Wind Act was passed to create a legal framework for a new era of energy. This is part of the energy policy of Poland until 2040, along with construction of the first Polish nuclear power plant, which you can check in a separate video. The Baltic Power project itself took a major turn in 2021. That's when the Orlen Group, a Polish energy giant, teamed up with Northland Power, a Canadian company with nearly 40 years of experience in global power projects. Orlen owns 51% of the project, ensuring national oversight, while Northland holds 49%, bringing the technical expertise needed to build in the harsh conditions of the open sea. By early 2023, the project achieved a historic milestone, securing the first ever building permits for offshore wind infrastructure in Poland. When we talk about the scale of Baltic Power, it's hard to overstate how big these machines are. The farm will feature 76 Vestas turbines, and these aren't average windmills. These are 15 megawatt units, among the first of their kind in the world. Just one of these turbines stands over 200 meters tall. To put that in perspective, the rotor area, the circle the blades sweep through, is about 43,000 square meters. That is roughly the size of 6 football pitches. The blades themselves are over 115 meters long. These giants are designed to catch the consistent, high-speed winds of the Baltic Sea, turning them into enough electricity to power more than 1.5 million Polish households. But building them isn't easy. Each turbine sits on a steel monopile foundation. These are massive tubes, up to 100 meters long and weighing up to 1,700 tons. Specialized vessels like the heavy-lift crane ship Swannon and the Gulliver are used to drive these foundations 40 meters deep into the seabed. Innovation isn't just in the size, though. Baltic Power is also one of the first projects in the world to use low-carbon steel for its turbine towers. This steel is made from recycled materials in furnaces powered by renewable energy, reducing the carbon footprint of the construction itself by 66%. Building at this scale is incredibly expensive. The total budget for Baltic Power is estimated at approximately 4.73 billion euros, or well over 10 billion Polish zloty. This budget covers everything. The 4.05 billion euros for capital expenditures and insurance, plus the cost of financing and a reserve for unexpected challenges. On a per megawatt basis, it costs about 3.5 million euros to build. That's more than double the cost of building wind farms on land, mainly because of the specialized ships, subsea cabling, and the massive steel foundations required for the deep water. How do you pay for a project that costs nearly 5 billion euros? You don't do it alone. Baltic Power is being financed through a project finance model. This means the 25 international and Polish financial institutions involved are lending money based on the project's future success, rather than the shareholders' existing assets. This syndicate includes some of the biggest names in banking, like the European Investment Bank, EIB, and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, EBRD. They were joined by export credit agencies from Denmark, Canada, and Germany. To make this deal work, the project secured a contract for difference, CFD, from the government. This is basically a 25-year guarantee that ensures the wind farm will receive a stable price for the electricity it produces, protecting the investors from the ups and downs of the energy market. Baltic Power is about electricity, but also about the economy. The project is committed to a local content strategy, aiming for more than 20% of the project's total value to come from Polish suppliers. This has turned the Pomerania region into a hive of activity. Gdansk and Gdynia shipyards built the massive 2,500-ton offshore substations. A factory in Szczecin is producing the nacelles, the brains on top of the towers. In Bydgoszcz, they are making the hundreds of kilometers of subsea cables needed to bring the power to shore. The project is also creating roughly 10,000 jobs over its lifespan. This includes the 60 people who will work at the new service base in Lueba, which will be the heart of operations for the next 30 years. The developers have also worked closely with those who already use the sea, the fishermen. Because the construction restricts access to certain fishing grounds, Baltic Power launched the Transitional Compensation Scheme. Eligible boat owners receive annual payments ranging from roughly 15,000 to 48,000 zloty to help bridge the gap until permanent government regulations are in place. Some local fishermen have even been hired to use their boats as guard vessels for the construction site. So, what happens next? The project is currently in the thick of offshore installation. If everything stays on schedule, the wind farm will be fully operational by 2026. Once it's running, Baltic Power will generate about 4,000 gigawatt-hours of zero-emission energy per year. That's enough to cover about 3% of Poland's total energy demand, and it will prevent 2.8 million tons of CO2 from entering the atmosphere every single year. But Baltic Power is just the beginning. It's the vanguard of a much larger plan. Poland aims to reach 11 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2040, with some experts suggesting the total potential of the Polish Baltic Sea could be as high as 33 gigawatts. As the first foundations are driven into the seabed, this project represents the end of the coal era for northern Poland and the start of a sustainable future. Baltic Power is proof that with the right partnerships and solid financial backing, a nation can transform its energy security and protect its environment at the same time.